The final moments of two Norwegian workers repairing a wind turbine, killed in a fire. Above, the father's reaction to the birth of a son. Below, the reaction to the birth of a daughter. Azerbaijan, 1909. In Mozambique, Africa, a bald man was once again killed and beheaded. The reason is a superstition that the heads of bald men are full of gold, and some locals believe this. Mike Tyson, in glamorous pink handcuffs, goes to prison for drug possession and drunk driving, 2008. Papier-mâché decoy heads from the time of World War I. These heads were used to deceive enemy snipers. Interestingly, the technique was born out of desperation. In trench warfare, where the front line did not move for months, any trick could save dozens of lives. A protest against racial integration in schools. USA, 1959. How Hiroshima has changed since 1945. Pearl Harbor, 1941. Sale of Wives, England 1780 to 1850. The procedure was organized as an auction. A little boy gives an older boy a flower after arriving at Auschwitz, 1944. All the people in the photograph were executed by the Germans that same day. Gold mine of Bald Mountain, Brazil, 1986. Shoichi Yokoi, the Japanese soldier who hid in the jungle in Guam for 27 years to avoid capture, weeps upon his return to Japan in February 1972. A black rally in Russia, 1963. John F. Kennedy Jr., age 3, salutes his father's casket, U.S., 1963. Illegal alcohol trade, Berlin, 1929. White teenagers protesting racial integration in Montgomery, Alabama, 1963. Skeleton of a giant turtle, photo from 1902. Antibiotics were discovered by accident. Alexander Fleming left a petri dish with Staphylococcus bacteria unattended for several days. A colony of mold grew in it and started destroying the bacteria. Fleming then isolated the active substance, penicillin. Growth-increasing exercise machine, 1931 photo. A Ukrainian immigrant establishment in New York offering free borscht to celebrate Stalin's death, March 6, 1953. A psychiatric hospital patient made a straw man in her bed, 1910. The window of a rodent extermination business. They say they're still in business. Klaus Carl Schilling is hooded before his execution in 1946. He was sentenced to death for conducting horrific medical experiments on over 1,000 prisoners at the Dachau concentration camp. In 1895, two cars collided in Ohio. The oddity of this case is that the automobile industry was just beginning, and there were only two cars in the entire state. Open-air POW camp, Kharkov, USSR, 1944. English women demand the right to serve in the military, citing that Italian women are allowed, 1915. Two families of workers from a confectionery factory rent a corner in a room, Russia, 1923. Edward Smith, the captain of the Titanic. The voyage on the Titanic was supposed to be Smith's last before retirement. An Iraqi POW comforts his 4-year-old son in the yard of a dusty prison in Iraq, 2003. The Daily Life of a Theatrical Agent, 1950s. Making masks for French soldiers. Veterans of the First World War with disfigured faces, 1918. A wedding procession in the 1960s, USSR. The entire village would gather for the newlywed celebration. A mother pleads with the police to return her son after he was arrested during a protest accusing the government of election fraud. South Korea, 1987. A woman on the beach shows the lifeguard why she sunbathes topless, but it turned out that the sign was intended for men. USA, New Jersey, 1939. A one-room school in Alabama during the Great Depression, 1937. This poor rural school had a barrel in the center of the room, used as a stove for heating. Reporters watch a nuclear test during Operation Plumbob, USA, 1957. The largest and most controversial nuclear series on U.S. soil. 29 bombs detonated. Benito Mussolini, arrested for evading service in the Italian army at the age of 20. Switzerland, 1903. He was a socialist and loved playing the violin at that time. He later became a fascist. During the mass riots of autumn 2006, demonstrators managed to start an T-34-85 tank, placed on display in the city center, and attempted to break through the police positions with it. Passers-by study a new map of Europe after World War I, 1918. Police versus LGBT March participants, USA, 1970. An orphan, taken in by an aviation squadron, writes messages on bombs. For my mom, for my dad. Kuwait on fire, 1991. Bern University rejected Albert Einstein for a professorship, stating, "Your theory seems interesting, but more like art than science." A woman cries at the gates of the Auschwitz concentration camp, 1981. A Soviet lieutenant wipes his boots on a Nazi flag in Breslau, 1945. Coal delivery to the 5th floor, France, 1917. French Catholic clergy in Dijon burning an effigy of Santa Claus in front of children in protest against the pagan Christmas, 1951. The expiration date on milk bottles was first introduced thanks to Al Capone. After his niece became seriously ill from drinking spoiled milk, the influential Chicago gangster persistently lobbied for milk expiration dates to ensure the safety of children and pregnant women. At the start of a combined dog and women's race, USA, 1927. Prince Charles looking bored at his mother's coronation, Queen Elizabeth II, June 2nd, 1953. It seems he already knew that waiting for the throne would be long. In the era of the Great Depression, homeless Americans were forced to live in Hoovervilles, shanty towns named to mock President Hoover. The middle class virtually disappeared. Unemployment soared to 25%, and prices for farm goods dropped by nearly half. Leaders of the countries participating in World War II as children. A symbolic London photo from 1938, a family heads to the pool in swimsuits and gas masks, reflecting the tense anticipation of war and chemical attacks. Anal plugs were originally sold as miraculous remedies for headaches, pimples, and mental disorders. Hiroshima before and after the explosion. Menelik II, the King of Kings of Ethiopia, believed in the power of the Bible. When he felt unwell, he would tear out pages from the Holy Scriptures and eat them. He died in 1913, having eaten the entire Book of Kings. A man is strapped to the electric chair in Addis Ababa prison, Ethiopia, 1950. Tutankhamun's parents were brother and sister, and this is what he looked like according to scientists' reconstruction. A Gentleman's Set, 1640. The creators of the first VCR, video cassette recorder, with their VCR, 1956. In the 1960s, a popular hippie slogan was, "Bombing for peace is like having sex for virginity." It was used by young people protesting the US war in Vietnam. A shocking image from 1959 USA, a small child holding a racist sign. It serves as a stark reminder of how hate can be taught from a young age. Edward Bloch, a Jewish doctor and personal physician to Adolf Hitler. He was under Hitler's personal protection, who called him a noble Jew. Hyundai's founder paid for the shipment of 1,001 cows to his native village in 1998. He had stolen and sold a cow in his youth to buy a ticket to Seoul. A Captured Moth, New York, 1986. The original quadrober, a strange sight from the USA, 1867. A U.S. confectionery company stored its molasses in an enormous tank in Boston and severely skimped on maintenance. This led to an explosion, and 9 million liters of molten syrup swept over the city. People, horses, and cars were stuck fast in the molasses, and not everyone could be saved. The photo shows electricians Randall Champion and J.D. Thompson. They were conducting repair work when Randall was struck by an electric shock. More than 4,000 volts passed through his body, instantly stopping his heart. Thompson rushed to help and performed CPR. Randall's life was saved. Merchants prepare for the repeal of prohibition in Ohio, USA, 1933. The oldest documented joke in history belongs to the Sumerians and dates back to around 1900 BC. It goes, "Since time immemorial, it has never happened that a young wife did not pass gas in her husband's embrace." Thousands of Iranian women take to the streets of Tehran for a mass demonstration against the new revolutionary religious government and the mandatory hijab, March 1979. Collar of an ancient Roman slave with the inscription, "Catch me, I escaped. If you catch me and return me to my master's Oninus, you will receive a solidus." 4th century CE. A solidus was a Roman gold coin. In the 1950s, U.S. prisoners were volunteers to test roller coaster safety. In the basement of the Supreme Court of Argentina, over 80 boxes full of Nazi materials were found. Black man in a whites-only cafe, Virginia, 1960. The 19th century extravagance. Walter Rothschild's carriage drawn by zebras. The Great Depression, USA, 1930s. I have 3 trades, I speak 3 languages, I fought 3 years in the war, I have 3 children, and I have been unemployed for 3 months, but I am only looking for one job. This photograph, taken on March 17, 1973, became a symbol of the end of the Vietnam War. In the frame, U.S. Lieutenant Colonel Robert Sturm reunites with his family after 5 years of captivity in North Vietnam. Civilians sleep in the subway during another German bombing raid. London, 1940. In the early 20th century, rat catchers worked in the sewers beneath major European cities. They were paid for each rat they caught. Rats were hunted with guns. The Great Stingray caught by Captain Can. USA, 1933. What X-rays looked like in the 1900s. Japanese kamikaze pilots before their final flights, 1945. Ella Harper earned $200 a week as a star in a traveling freak show in the 1880s, born with a rare disease that caused her knees to bend backward. Kazakh girl in a wedding dress, Kazakhstan, 1898. The burning of a village whose inhabitants were suspected of collaborating with guerrillas, Vietnam, 1968. Girls painting clock dials with radioactive paint. Most of them would later die from radiation sickness, 1922. The iceberg photographed the day after the Titanic sank. There is a high probability that it was the cause of the sinking. Native Americans mastering the automobile, 1915. The death stairs at the Mauthausen concentration camp were the place where prisoners carried granite stones weighing about 50 kilograms, 110 pounds, up 186 steps. Guards forced them to make up to 10 climbs a day, regardless of the heat or cold. Due to the exhausting conditions, many fell, dropping the stones on others, leading to injuries and deaths, 1943. Public toilet in Paris, France, 1875. John Minnick, the heaviest person in medical history. Astonishingly, he found a slim girlfriend, Jeanette. The young couple quickly fell in love and married, despite the 1,300-pound weight difference between them. Stalin and Hitler might have met in Austria long before their political careers. In 1913, while in Vienna, the fugitive revolutionary Stalin loved to stroll the streets where the young artist Hitler was selling his paintings. A fisherman's find. There used to be worm vending machines, USA, 1957. The real Inglorious Bastards. After WFU, most Nazis responsible for the Holocaust escaped punishment. But this group of Jewish men tracked them down for years across different continents and carried out vigilante justice on several hundred Nazis. Vincenzo Peruggia stole the Mona Lisa from the Louvre in 1911, and in 1913 the painting was found in his hotel room in Florence. Native Americans standing on the roof of a building in New York in 1913. Ancient culture and the industrial age stand side by side, meeting face to face. The greatest jazz man in history, Louis Armstrong, leaves an autograph in the form of a drawn trumpet on a fan's head, France, 1961. The mummy of Ramses II, the pharaoh who ruled ancient Egypt from 1279 to 1213 BC. Not long ago, believing in their superiority, exclusivity, special path, and invincibility, the Germans plant vegetables in front of the Reichstag building in hungry, war-torn Berlin, 1946. Whether this clip sparked joy, anger, or just a bit of annoyance, I want to hear your thoughts below. Stick around for part 2 coming soon. Please hit like and subscribe to support the channel. See you!